we are going to be getting into the Silent Hill play novel. I had an incredible time on Wednesday. We finished Silent Hill 1 and we started the Silent Hill play novel, which for those of you who are unfamiliar, the play novel, it's just a visual novel that goes over the story. But it has different endings, it has lore snippets, things like that. It's interesting because there's some debate on whether or not the Silent Hill play novel is considered canon, because the play novel was something that came out by, it wasn't specifically Team Silent, who are the developers of Silent Hill. It was other people that made the game. There are 3 endings to Sybil's story with like a few variations here and there. And then Harry's has like 4 endings with variations. So part of it's going to be figuring out, what of those endings do we want to see? There we go. So this should work. Okay. I'm excited. So it should be a bit faster this time around. I'm still going to be reading things out loud, so prepare for a lot of my voice. But yeah, we're going to see. Let's find different endings to Harry's story. It's been a while since I've taken a vacation. I'm driving my Jeep, heading towards the quiet resort town of Silent Hill. The sound of the engine reverberates in the darkness. Due to some slight car trouble earlier, it's become this late. I am Harry Mason. I am a run-of-the-mill writer. Her eyes closed, Cheryl sleeps peacefully in the passenger seat. Cheryl is my daughter. She's cheerful and lively, and the occasional carefree smiles she shows makes me feel happy. I don't have very many relationships with people because of what I do for a living, so Cheryl's existence has become irreplaceable to me. Cheryl was very much looking forward to this trip. Although paved, this is still very much a mountain road. At this hour, there's little reason for any other drivers to be about. I push in the accelerator. There's no light, off in the darkness. I can depend only on my headlights. Light reflects off the rearview mirror. It's a motorcycle. There's a motorcycle headed towards the same destination as we are at a terrific speed at this late hour. With a roar, the motorcycle effortlessly passes by the side of my Jeep. The seal of the police. Perhaps there's been an accident or something, but I don't recall hearing about an accident or anything on the radio. Cheryl is sleeping. A child should not be awake at this hour. I wonder if she's dreaming about something. Tomorrow I have planned to take her to the amusement park. Maybe she is dreaming about riding the merry-go-round. I glance over at Cheryl's sleeping face and then return my eyes forward. The lighted area of the road almost appeared to be belched out from the darkness as it moves towards me. Huh? Something enters my field of view. It's the motorcycle from just before. It's lying on its side on the shoulder of the road. No doubt about it, it's the same motorcycle that just passed me. There's no sign of the driver. It looks like the driver smashed into the surface of the rocks by the side of the road while trying to avoid some kind of obstacle, and thus that part of the motorcycle has been destroyed. I carefully check the way in which my vehicle is headed. However, I don't see anything that could be an obstacle to my advance in the area illuminated by the headlights. A strange atmosphere creeps in around me. The radio reception begins to become erratic. Perhaps I should turn back? My foot persistently pushes down on the accelerator with no intention of letting off. You can no longer turn back now. Something murmurs within me. Please increase your speed some more. Someone murmurs within me. Cheryl's eyes are closed. She's dreaming. I know that I should be awake, but what is this uneasy feeling? I feel as if my body is not totally my own. It's like someone, some strange being that is not me, is controlling me, like I am floating. My eyelids are heavy. As the steering wheel leaves my hand, it creates the illusion of setting the course on its own. Freezing cold, uneasiness, almost like being ready to fall asleep. I'm just barely conscious, and now at my limit to maintain even that. Ah! When I saw the human figure on the road, I cut the wheel hard, and then there was nowhere else for my Jeep and I to go but down into the darkness below the cliff. The silence pierces my ears. As the wind blew, it was accompanied by a piercing cold. Where am I? I can feel light faintly passing through my eyelids. I don't seem to be hurt. That much is clear to me because I don't feel any pain in my body. No, perhaps I've suffered an injury that doesn't cause any pain? I slowly try opening my heavy eyelids. Out of the season's snow is pouring into the town. Other than that, the sound of droplets of ice hitting the ground, there's nothing else to be heard. Silent Hill. That is what is assuredly written on the sign by the side of the road. Without realizing it, Cheryl and I have reached our destination. All of my memories up to that point are gone. The wind is blowing in. When I take a look next to me, I am shocked. The passenger door has been left open. Cheryl is nowhere to be seen. Silent Hill. This town, which should just be a resort area, appears to have become just like a ghost town for some reason. Or maybe it was waiting for us to arrive, or perhaps the town just nestled up to us. So now I am alone. Cheryl is not here. While I was knocked out, Cheryl opened the passenger door and stepped out alone into this tourist spot that is ruled by an unsettling silence. And then she left me to head somewhere. I tightly closed my jacket around my neck and set off on foot in search of Cheryl. I wonder what in the world happened here. Nothing makes any sense. The silence, the out-of-season snow, and strangest of all, the entire town is wrapped in a thick fog. Cheryl's destination is there no one in the town? We did beat last time, so I'm going to do A. I begin to run. Only the sounds of my footsteps echo in the surroundings. Just where in the world is Cheryl gone? Did someone lead her away? Various concerns run through my mind. I suddenly get the feeling that I heard footsteps other than my own, so I stop moving right away to check it out. Through the thick fog, I can see a figure that is about the size of a child. Cheryl? Without a thought, I cry out. The figure doesn't move at all. At the moment I begin to move slowly towards the figure, it starts to run. I fiercely chase after the figure. That's definitely Cheryl. Even though it is faint, I would not mistake someone else for Cheryl. However, no matter how much I run, I cannot catch up. Instead, the figure is gradually getting farther away from me. The figure puts on speed, as if it is gliding through the air. The figure appears to be absorbed by the fog as it begins to disappear. In order not to lose it, I run with all my strength while keeping my vision centered on the figure. I then notice that I've come to an alley, surrounded by buildings. I don't know how, but it is like a cover was placed over the sky, which had provided light until now, and the area had become engulfed in darkness. From the darkness, I can hear multiple footsteps coming this way. I don't know who it is. I'll take a look. I'm going to get out of here. I don't have anything with me that can be used as a weapon. We got out of there last time. This time, let's take a look. I stood ready. What are they? With beast-like rage, they've closed in to right where I am. Ah! And then my vitality is sucked away by these strangely shaped monsters until I finally lose consciousness. Sybil Bennett. She is a full-time police officer working in the neighboring town of Brahms. There was no one else in the cafe other than her and Harry. She took a seat at the counter and waited for Harry to awaken. He's up. I suddenly awoke. Where is this place? Why am I here? Was I brought here by someone? There's no boundary between dream and reality, just confusion. As I lay on the bench seat in the cafe, my eyes slowly begin to focus. The woman sitting at the counter stands and folds her arms. She walks over and looks down at me. She is wearing a police uniform. The woman smiles a little bit, as she appears to be relieved that I have regained consciousness. Looks like you've come around. Who are you? I try talking to the unfamiliar woman. I'm Sybil Bennett. I'm here because all the communication with this town suddenly went dead, and so I came to investigate. I'm Harry Mason. I brought my daughter to this town for some sightseeing, but on the way there was an accident and I lost consciousness. Oh, yeah, Sybil, you haven't seen a little girl in this town, have you? A little girl? No, I haven't seen her. When I came to after my accident, my daughter was nowhere to be seen. The passenger door was open and she was gone. My daughter's name is Cheryl. She's a timid person, so it's hard to imagine that she headed out there into this weird town alone. Plus, I was there in the driver's seat, and since she gave me no warning, it just doesn't make sense. Are you familiar with this area? There's no sign of anyone, and what is going on with the snow at this time of year? Just what in the world has happened in this town? I said all of this while breathing deeply. I'm afraid I don't know either. I still haven't seen anyone other than you. It's like the town is as silent as the graveyard, left without even the means to contact any neighboring towns. I see. You also had an accident, You also had an accident, right? I thought it was a good idea to head to the police station in this town alone on my motorcycle, but I guess I was going a little too fast. A girl suddenly jumped out into the road. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I almost hit her. I cut the handlebars hard in order to avoid her. After that, I can barely remember anything. When I came to, I was lying in the street in front of this cafe, so naturally I came here to get out of the snow, and then I found you sleeping there. I was having some kind of terrible dream. As for if I made it here on my own, I don't remember at all. Just what in the world has happened in this town? What is going on with everything? Well, the situation is definitely strange. I'll head back to Brahms for reinforcements, and then return here. How about you? Sybil stood and fixed her collar with resolute fortitude. I've got to look for Cheryl. There's no way I can just leave her here alone. I see. Well, I'll give you this then. You never know what might happen under these circumstances. If you feel threatened, then pull the trigger without hesitation. I take the gun into my hands. Thank you, but I'm no good with guns. I haven't even touched one. I can't handle it. Amazed, Sybil takes a deep breath. It's simple. I'll show you how to use it. See, first hold it in your right hand, then place your forefinger on the trigger. I reluctantly followed her instructions. Like this? Yes. Now place your left hand on your right hand so that it doesn't move. Then all you have to do is slide this, fix your aim, and pull the trigger. Like this? Why does Sybil give off Dakota Fanning vibes? I mean, I would not mind that. Bang! The bullet grazes Sybil's cheek and penetrates the wall of the cafe. One of the pictures on the wall falls. Hey, you need to watch it. I'm sorry, I was just doing what you said and it just... No, it's not, and it's just a few centimeters over and you would have been a murderer. I lost even more self-confidence. Well, it's all right. Please use it carefully. Well then, I'm going. The sound of the door closing reverberated woefully inside the cafe. Aw, poor Harry. Sorry, I'm still very hungry. And this is the downside to ordering food right before doing a visual novel on stream. Is I want to eat and I can't. After being left alone in the cafe, I gazed at the handgun Sybil gave me for a little while, and then I thought about Cheryl, who had disappeared in this town. The figure I saw in the fog. That was definitely Cheryl, but she didn't answer my calls and she was quite possibly moving away from me? I don't understand. I'm getting a bit mixed up. Still, the one thing I know for sure is that Cheryl has vanished in this town. All I can do is look for her. I may not have any knowledge of the surrounding or any clues, but I won't find Cheryl if I stay here. I stood up energetically and placed my hand on the cafe door. Something is making noise. Why is the game audio so low? Oh? What is that noise? It's somewhere inside the cafe, it's somewhere outside the cafe. It's inside the cafe, but I'm curious. Outside, I open the door and hurry out into the street. The snow still continues to fall. I breathe into the cold outside air and it feels like waking up. The noise I just heard until now has stopped. Is the wind drowning it out? My question was soon answered. Through the glass, I can see that a radio has been placed on top of a table inside the cafe. Is that? I immediately went back inside the cafe. Well, the noise has stopped. Thinking that it may come in handy for something, I slide the portable radio into my pocket and once again walk towards the cafe's exit. After leaving the cafe, I decided to first head towards that alley from before. Huh. So if you go outside first, there's just no encounter with the first winged monster that you see. That's interesting. Black figures fly about in the heavens as if searching for prey. I then come to realize a constant. The static on the radio changes based on their movements. The closer the monsters come to me, the louder the static gets. My sight is hindered by the fog, and on top of that, the weather is so bad that the snow is falling. So this is extremely important information. I run through the snow that appears to have had no intention of stopping. Increasing my speed each time the static comes on the radio, I proceed into the fog. Following the thin thread of my memory, I finally arrive at the alley from before. The evil atmosphere has dissipated, and light pours in along with snow from in between the buildings. I move into the alley, and it dead ends after a bit. At the end of the alley, I see a familiar sketchbook that appears to have been thrown away. The likeness of me that Cheryl drew is on the cover of the sketchbook. This is definitely Cheryl's. The sketchbook opens. I try opening it. Inside, the following is written in red ink: to school. Along Levin Street, I slipped through the back door of a house that had a doghouse and then head for the school. The surroundings gradually fill with darkness, and only the flashlight on my chest illuminates this strange street. I pass through the entrance to the elementary school grounds. When I open the door that leads into the school building, I see that even more darkness is waiting for me inside. It is possible that Cheryl scribbled those letters to school. I can't be sure whether Cheryl is here or not. It's just that I haven't a clue other than that sketchbook. A guide map of the school has been tacked to the sidewall of the entrance with a rusted thumbtack. After removing the map from the wall, I place it in my pocket and push open the heavy door that leads into the interior of the school building. My footsteps and the creaking of the hallway. They sound like screams as their reverberations rock my eardrums. I had been walking carefully, step by step, but without realizing it, I had begun to run. And there's no sign of anyone. The silent innards of the school building are dark, and with only the flashlight on my chest, it's impossible for me to see any of the details. Cheryl doesn't have a flashlight, so if she came in here and got lost, then she probably wouldn't even be able to walk around. Since I have my flashlight turned on, she should be able to notice me easily. At least I have that modest hope. I then notice that I have come to the entrance to the music room. I place my hand on the heavy door. When I open the door, I see that the inside of the room is large and there's a grand piano placed in its center. As I sit on the chair of the piano, I'm shocked. The seat is still warm, as if someone had been sitting here just a few minutes before. Cheryl's smile runs through the back of my mind. Cheryl often played the cheap upright piano in our home. It had become nice background music when I was working. Perhaps Cheryl had come to the music room? I gently open the cover over the piano keys. I notice that there is red mixed in among the black and white. I try touching the liquid. It has a lukewarm feel. It is still holding heat. It is definitely blood. My heart pounds in my chest like an alarm bell. The large amount of blood spilled on the keys. If this is Cheryl's blood, then she may no longer be alive. I wipe the stain off of my hands onto my jeans, stand, and leave the music room. At the same time, I close the door. I thought I heard someone scream. Maybe it was just my imagination? I walk down the hallway. The sleety mix of snow pounds hard against the windows facing the courtyard. I take a look through a window down at the dark courtyard. The not-so-large courtyard is dotted with areas in which withered plants are growing. In addition to that, an old clock tower is faintly visible. From here, I cannot determine what time the clock is pointing to. Wait. Something appears to be wriggling about in the darkness. An animal? No, it's dark and I can't see so well, but it is slowly moving on two legs. It appears to be searching for prey. At that moment, the radio I had clipped to my chest suddenly began making noise. As I return my sight to the hallway, a sharp pain runs through my thigh. When I look down, I see that the tips of those long claws are piercing my thigh, those oddly shaped monsters. They are posed like they want to hug me and have gathered around my waist. They are about to bite me. I readied the handgun and fired. I instantaneously readied the handgun I was carrying and fired at the monster. Ow! I hit it, but its long claws dug deeper into my thigh, widening the wound. With my right hand, I push on its head part with force and knock it away. It then totters and falls down on its face. That was when I noticed that I had been surrounded. I readied the gun. I fixed my aim on their heads and pulled the trigger with my trembling index finger. I continue to shoot as each one of them appears. The smoke from the gunpowder begins to fill the air around me, so I placed one hand over my mouth. Even after the noise from the radio had stopped, I could only stand there, paralyzed in utter amazement among their corpses. Is Cheryl all right? She shouldn't have been carrying anything that could be used as a weapon. I begin running. I can't just stand around. There is not a moment to lose. Cheryl is waiting for me. Wait a minute. Suddenly my vision became hazy or something, and I rubbed my eyes. When I looked back, I see that all the bodies of the monsters have unexpectedly vanished. What? Was I hallucinating or something? I pull the guide map out of my inner pocket and shine the flashlight on it, and then I confirm that there is a boiler room located in the basement. My feet naturally began to take me there. I descend the stairs to the basement, taking one step at a time. A school building without light. As I move forward, I am beset on all sides by absolute darkness. As I head towards new fear and new enemies, my feet have no intention of stopping their advance. But oddly enough, I don't have a sense of justice. I just want to make sure that Cheryl is safe, to catch her in my arms. That is my only goal. The boiler is not running. If I simply press the switch in front of me, then this eerie machine should begin operating. However, I just stand still. I try pushing the switch, but the boiler doesn't do anything at all, so I try opening the switchboard cover below the switch. It appears that I must somehow supply power from the main power supply to the boiler. The power supply is on the right. From the left of the switchboard, a thick pipe extends out and is connected to the boiler. We figured out this puzzle last time, right? Wasn't it? First try. Got it. I have an instinctive feeling that by pushing the switch that something outrageous may happen. Although at the same time, I also notice my daughter Cheryl's scream run through my heart like a sense of duty that makes me feel that I must push the switch. I slowly push the switch in. The entire school building shudders as if it were a giant ship. The entire elementary school building appears as if it has been swallowed by Cheryl's heart as she stands alone in the darkness. I understand that I must do something to the courtyard. The darkness softly whispers to me. The clock tower looks to be tall enough to reach the third floor of the school. At its base, there's a small door about big enough for an adult to enter while bent down. The door solemnly opened. After opening, the door seems to beckon the one standing in front of it to enter with an irresistible mental energy. I cannot resist that power. As I enter, the door closes with a hopeless thunder. Inside the clock tower, a physiologically loathsome stench hung in the air. However, the smile of my beloved daughter in my heart lessens my uneasiness and lets me forget my fear, even if for only a moment. Reassured, I place my foot on the ladder leading underground with my greatest motive called love. The inside finally became a small passage about large enough for an adult. I run, trusting that I will see her smile. Ahead, I run forward, stomping on concrete stained with the smell of death. Once I climb the ladder at the end of the tunnel, there will be no going back. I mutter Cheryl's name one more time. The depressing sound of the door closing echoes throughout the courtyard. Where am I? Hey, Fox, how's it going? A raw, warm breeze brushes past my cheeks. The view lets me know that this is like a completely different world than the school I was just in. Once again, I think, where am I? I descend the small stairs leading away from the clock tower and become even more convinced. An extremely religious-looking design has been drawn in the center of the courtyard. Within a large double circle, a triangle has been placed, and within that, a strange pattern that looks like hieroglyphics is drawn. This is my necklace. I don't remember this being here before, I mutter. This is definitely the school I was just in. The placement of the trees, the construction of the building. However, an overpowering feeling of nausea rises throughout my body. A revolting, horrible smell, like that of the stench of cutting into rotten meat, thickly wafts throughout the air, and is nearly visible to the eye. I begin to run. I can no longer bear to stay in this spot. By the time I place my hand on the door that leads inside the school building, I no longer have the strength left to tell how long I was running. Maybe it was only for an instant. The school building has dramatically changed. Metal-grated floors, blood-covered walls, corpse-like puppets hanging everywhere. It's like a nightmarish scene in which everything is isolated from the real world. In spite of that, I run. I am searching for Cheryl. The unpleasant metallic sounds of my footsteps resonate throughout the inside of the school. And then I open the door to the teacher's room. Perhaps the door is not installed correctly, as it took me several forceful tries to open it. Once I enter the room, I am shocked. Desks are strewn about, and a raw, rotten stench rules the room. Hi.
Hello.
I do want to check this to see if this impacts things later on. I'm not seeing a greater impact, but I am going to call the police instead. With slight hope, I picked up the telephone receiver. Just as I had guessed, the depressing busy signal just repeats over and over. As I gently hang up the telephone receiver, I realize that all means for contacting the outside world have already been lost. I must find Cheryl right away and escape from this insane world with her. I begin to leave the room. My heart rapidly contracts. The mechanical bell sound echoes throughout the room. I nervously approach the telephone and once again pick up the receiver. Daddy, help me. It's Cheryl. There's no mistaking it. I firmly press the receiver against my ear. Daddy, where are you? Cheryl! Is this Cheryl? At that moment, Cheryl's voice is replaced with a busy signal. I knew it, I think. Cheryl is here. Being located in the residential area, many children probably come to the school. The interior of the elementary school is larger than I imagined. Including classrooms, there are a lot of rooms, so locating Cheryl will be extremely difficult. If Cheryl wasn't brought here by someone and instead came here of her own free will, then perhaps she might be in that one room. I spin around, run to the stairs at the end of the hall, and then sprint up them. I've come to the library, and my eyes are drawn to the open book there. We did children's book last time, so I'm going to go with a dictionary of religious science. Oh, and we have puppers. It's my little doofus. Aren't you? You're a doofus. Stitch has too much tongue for his mouth. So last time we picked the children's book because as far as I remember, that's what it is in the original game. So this time I wanted to do the religious science book because I want as much cult lore as I can get. Depending on the region, each have the characteristics of having individual doctrines. From ancient times, the practice of offering a living sacrifice was the only way to avoid disaster. Most believers are those who have chosen to renounce the world for the sake of their beliefs, while those believers who can not yet give up their material possessions need to deepen their knowledge of the sacred texts. However, some believers have a tendency to strictly hide the fact that they are believers from others. This is because they believed that if the fact that they are believers becomes known, then their effectiveness would become nothing. Even with black magic, which is thought to have vanished in present times, its magical spells are actively researched in such areas. In that process, an altar set alight with a sacred flame and a symbolic seal were required. Then, by summoning an evil being and bringing it to contact with a saint, a new existence is said to be able to be created. In this case, the saint is not limited to a priest, as an inanimate object can also be used. I become gripped with the sense that my actions have been controlled by someone in this entire time. I mean, maybe. Coming to the library, seeing that specific page in the open book, even whatever it is I must do now, it is a decision that is out of my hands. Everything that has happened to me has been in someone's hands. I have gradually come to understand this. Even still, I probably cannot determine my own course. I accept the direction of the unseen one, to whom I must obey. In order to find Cheryl, there is no other alternative. I now know where it is I need to go. As I journey there, I walk firmly, stepping forward one step at a time. I descend a staircase from which uncomfortably warm air flows, and find an elevator at its base that invites me to descend even further as its doors slowly open. Once I enter, its doors close, and in the next moment, with a rusty clunk sound, the elevator begins to descend at a high rate of speed. Just how far down is it going? All I can do is go with the flow. Gradually, the elevator and I are enveloped in hot, humid air. The elevator stops, and I step off as its doors opened. Beyond a short passage, a dazzling light emits from a small room which has been waiting for my arrival. In the center of the fires of hell burned, and everything made it look like this room was meant for prayer, and then it was there. It slowly moved around the enormous sconce from which flames and ash rose. The lizard looks to have suddenly mutated. Its outer shell is a mucous membrane type. It just stares at me, and with surprisingly comfortable speed, it looks for a chance to attack. Here, I fired the gun at its large body. Smoke and powder emit from my handgun. I am certain that I hit it. However, those armor-like scales more than fulfilled their purpose. This isn't effective at all. This is no good. I need to make my bullets hit somewhere softer. At that moment, a part of my memory was suddenly awakened. Definitely, I'm gonna do the library. I remember that book I just picked up not too long ago. Thank you, Britt. I remember that book I just picked up not too long ago. Its contents run about in my head. While paying very close attention to the movements of my opponent, I recall its passages. Even with black magic, which is thought to have vanished in present times, its magical spells are actively researched in such areas. In that process, an altar set alight with a sacred flame and a symbolic seal are required. Then by summoning an evil being and bringing it into contact with a saint, a new existence is said to be able to be created. In this case, the saint is not limited to a priest, as an inanimate object can also be used. The monster in front of me was possibly summoned by, or descended from, black magic. However, that literature did not contain any information that would help me right now. Rip. I'm in danger. When I returned to my senses, its wide-open mouth was in front of me, open in a way that suggested it planned to swallow me whole. It's too late. I was caught in its mouth, easily lifted, and then crushed by its teeth as I fell inside it. When I came to, I found myself in the middle of a dark room. Where is this? I wondered to myself. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and then waited motionless for a bit until my eyes came into focus. Somehow this looks to be the boiler room. It is oddly quiet. Maybe I was dreaming? My very exhausted body seems to have also recovered somehow. The low hum of the boiler strangely calms my nerves. And then I sense the presence of a person and I shift my gaze. There was a girl standing there. She was wearing a dark blue clothing, and her light brown hair was neatly combed. The girl was just staring right at me. Once I noticed her and began to step towards her, she completely disappeared, as if her body just dissolved into the air in the room. I was alone in the room again. What was that? Strange feeling of relief. After standing for a bit, I let out a long breath and then placed my hand on the door at the entrance. Sunlight is shining into the hall of the school building. As usual, the snow is outside, but I am gripped with a strange feeling of relief, as if cancer cells had just been removed from me. Filled with relief, I slowly walked towards the exit of the school building, and then I learned that Cheryl is not here, from the loud sound of the church bells that seemed to call out to me. I begin to run towards the church on a road half covered in mud. Snow falls above my head, some of which freezes in my hair as chilly air flows by. When I reach the church, I push open the heavy door without hesitation.
It was foretold by Griomancy.
There's a typo in this, it's very funny. A cross is mounted on the front wall. Long benches are lined on both sides of a small walkway. It was as if time had stopped for this familial style of church. In front of the altar, a sly-looking woman with cold eyes looks down with an eerie grin. As I walk up to her, stepping one step at a time, she gazed at me without blinking. She looked as if she had predicted that I would arrive. Were you ringing that bell? The woman snorted with a humph. I've been expecting you. It was foretold by Griomancy, which is supposed to be gyromancy. What are you talking about?
I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right?
The girl? You're talking about Cheryl? My eyes grew wide.
I see everything.
You know something? Tell me.
Stay back.
The woman held the palm of her hand out at me and then lowered her chin in a way that suggested, please calm down.
Nothing is to be gained by floundering about at random. You must follow the path of the hermit, concealed by the flowers.
What are you talking about? I asked once more without hiding my bewilderment.
Here, the flowers, a cage of peace. It can break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld. These will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it's too late.
The woman held up a strange object and then softly placed it on the desk on top of the altar. Wait, don't go yet. I will believe that woman's story. Her story was unclear. Nope. I can't just carelessly believe her. I thought that the insane woman's behavior and the details of her story were questionable. All that remains in this church is the reverberations of the sound of a door closing. I go after that woman. I'm convinced that that woman definitely knows some secret of some sort. However, the knob on the door that she went through will not turn at all. It must be locked from the other side. The lock appears to be broken. Damn. No, I'm the only one left in the church. Almost as if taken from a nightmare, the space has heat. This warmth, it feels like it's protecting me from something. It's the best way to describe the heat. I move away from the door and begin walking to the altar that the woman was at. The object the woman was just holding has been placed there. So, because of the pixelated nature of that, it looks like instead of a key being next to the flower rose, it's a spoon. So, like, the flower rose is just like a really weird pastry. The flower rose. That is certainly what the woman had called this. I try picking it up, and then I place it back on top of the desk right away. It is power. The overwhelming power of the gods rests inside this four-sided object. It was a sensation like an electrical current passing into the palm of my hand, and then power moving throughout every nook and cranny in my body. I pick it up once more. This time, I calmly take it into my hand and then place it in my pocket. For some reason, I'm convinced that this object will help me find Cheryl. I pick up the key that was next to the flower rose, open the door of the church, and rush out into the heatless snow world again. Hospital? That woman certainly said something about a hospital. Alchemilla Hospital. The only hospital I could find on the map was that one. I could see my breath as I exhaled while I headed towards the entertainment district. The bridge to the entertainment district has been raised so boats can pass by it in the river below. In other words, it's split in the middle and is fixed in a raised position that makes it look like the Japanese katakana character. I enter the nearby drawbridge control room, place the key I was holding into the control panel, and forcefully turn it to the right. While emitting a sound like an old woman laughing, the bridge finally begins to lower, inviting me into the entertainment district. After crossing the bridge, I shudder. The temperature is gradually declining, or maybe it's just a result of the thing inside me that produces nervousness and fear. On this wide road, there's not a single motorcycle running. I'm running right down the center of it. If I continue forward, Alchemilla Hospital should be on the right. An old building appears in the thick fog. On the signboard, Alchemilla appears in faded letters. Its eeriness causes me to hesitate for an instant, but in the next moment I place my hand on the cold gate. I open the heavy hospital gate and then open the door directly to my right that has entrance written on it. The inside of the hospital is wrapped in silence. To the left, there is a reception area in which various papers are neatly placed on a shelf. Waiting benches are lined up along the back of this hall, and a television is pointed at them. I do not feel the presence of any patients or even any people. Only a faint light pours in through the windows from the cloudy sky. The hall is filled with a trace scent of alcohol, which penetrates my nose. I begin walking. After passing through the waiting room, I reach a long corridor. I open the door marked Examination Room. At almost the exact same time I open the door, a man inside jumped out of his chair. He's holding a handgun in his right hand. I checked my notes. Gun time. I instantly ready my gun. That plump man appeared to realize I was human, but as soon as he saw the gun, his eyes grew wide. Hold it! Stop! Don't shoot! Wait! I'm not here to fight! After I lowered my gun, the man sat down in his chair in a way that showed he was relieved. Thank God, another human being. My name's Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation. Do you work here? The man nodded. I was truly relieved. Silent Hill, which has become a habitat for strange monsters, this is my first contact with someone from this town. Dr. Michael Kaufman. I work at this hospital. So maybe you can tell me what's going on? The man who called himself Kaufman once again stirs in the chair he's sitting in. I really can't say. I was taking a nap in the staff room. When I woke up, it was like this. Everyone seems to have disappeared, and now it's snowing out. This time of year. He looks off at the floor of the examination room. There on the floor, the corpse of a still-warm monster lay on its side. Something's gone seriously wrong. Did you see those monsters? Have you ever seen such aberrations? Ever even heard of such things? You and I both know. Creatures like that don't exist. Yeah. And then I turn to face him as I realize something. Have you seen a little girl anywhere? I'm looking for my daughter. She's only 7. Short, black hair. She's missing? I'm sorry, but with all those monsters around, I highly doubt she's... Sorry, I don't mean to alarm you. Your wife, she's here with you? She died 4 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter. I see. I'm sorry. Well, I'd better be going. I can't just sit around here doing nothing. So long. Good luck out there. Bang. The examination room door shuts powerlessly. Dr. Michael Kaufman. Oddly enough, I have completely memorized that name. Again, that's not odd, that's civility. Huh? I suddenly notice that there is something on the floor that looks like a white scrap of paper. What is this? I pick it up. Letters have been disorderly scribbled on it. Arrival tomorrow morning. Be prepared. What is this? Check to see if there's anything else. Go after Kaufman. I leave the examination room. Kaufman is nowhere to be found. I begin to run. I pass through the medicine room and reach a planked floor corridor that silently extends in an L shape. I moved forward and found that there was an elevator with a large door at the end of the corridor. I try pressing the buttons beside it. Nothing happens. Looks like the power is off. There are several doors in the corridor. I begin opening each one in order. Thank you for the hydrate sandwich. And chat, I hope you guys are hydrating too. And resting and taking care of yourselves. You better. I open the door marked Meeting Room, head inside, and close the door behind me. A large table rests in the center of this room, and I notice that there is something glittering on top of it. I grasp the light green key, leave the room, and once again step into the chilly corridor. The next room looks to be the kitchen. I guess that the food for patients is probably prepared here. Various bronze cooking utensils are neatly arranged in order on the stainless steel counter. Thank you, Sandwich, I'm trying. I'm trying to stay hydrated. It does not appear that anything terribly important is here. Aha! Mistake! I carefully look through the various cooking utensils. Inside a large pot there is nothing at all. Again, crimes against I like soup. I apologize. While continuing to search to see if there might be some clue here or not, I notice that on the far wall various objects have been scattered about. I carefully move forward on the wet floor as not to slip. Something is there. I reach out my hand towards the thing in front of me, and it's a pet bottle or a kitchen knife. Okay, so this is ending A versus ending B. I mean, it's kind of moot though, because we're going for ending E. I'm gonna go for the kitchen knife just because we did pet bottle last time. I picked up a knife that appears to be for kitchen use. Perhaps this will come in handy for something. I only have a limited number of bullets. When the time comes, I might be able to use this as a weapon. I left the kitchen. Okay, soup. I'm sorry there's no soup in Silent Hill. I crept out into the corridor once more and stood in front of the door that was closest to the elevator. I opened the door, and the reverberations of the sounds of it opening and then closing shake my eardrums. The walls are made of concrete, and a few steps in, a staircase is leading to the basement extends like the folds inside the body of a snake. It is dark and difficult to see, but it looks like there is a door at the bottom of the staircase. Be brave, I mutter to myself. Leaving only the echoes of my footsteps, I descend the staircase to hell one step at a time, and then I open the door leading to darkness. I could see that the electricity was most likely out in the entire hospital. I pressed the switch on the flashlight on my chest and tried lighting the area. It is creepy, and yet there is nothing noticeably out of place. Chilly air drifts from the cold concrete, and it seems as if touching it would completely rob my body of its warmth. While moving through the corridor, I try opening the doors as I come to them. Of them, one opens with a creak. Emergency generator is written on the machine that occupies most of the room. To reach the second floor and above, it did not look like there was any method other than using the elevator, so without hesitation, I turned the machine on. I immediately head for the elevator. I press the up button. The heavy sound of the motor and the sound of metal parts coming into contact with each other almost sound like the intertwined screens. With a ding, the elevator stops and its doors slowly open. The inside of the elevator is large. It seems to be about big enough to accept 3 hospital beds. Buttons for each floor are lined up to the right of the elevator door. They are marked 3, 2, 1, and B from the top down. First, I head to the second floor. However, after I step off the elevator, I find that the door connected to the corridor that leads to the rooms on this floor is locked. With no alternative, I try heading to the third floor, but I find that it is in the same state. Well, what now? I've already tried moving to every floor. With nothing else to do, I re-entered the elevator and then could not believe my eyes. And this actually happened to me when I was doing the Silent Hill playthrough too. I was like, well, I checked every floor. And then I went back into the elevator. Of the buttons for each floor, 3 was definitely the highest floor just before. In spite of that, a new 4 button had been added. The elevator doors open with a familiar sound, and I step out onto the 4th floor. Again, I think? A condition extremely similar to that which I encountered after passing through the basement and the clock tower at the elementary school was present, right in front of me. Dark red rusted walls, metal grated floors, and a ringing in my ear that seems to creep up from the depths of hell is a menace to my mental state. I open the door in front of me, and a long corridor extends beyond it. I very carefully move forward while keeping my eyes fixed on the wall. Could Cheryl be here? And the only way to find out is to search this place. Huh. I can hear something in the darkness in front of me. It sounds like the groan of something dragging on the ground. The owner of that groan is slowly closing in on me, but I cannot see what it is for sure with the faint light of my flashlight. I instantly ready my gun, leave this area. We'll try leaving. I'm in danger. I try running away. However, I can hear the owner of that eerie groan pursuing me from behind. I thought that maybe it was echoing off the walls, but that is not the case. I became aware of my situation. I'm clearly surrounded. There's nowhere to run to. I have no choice. It's probably not human. I firmly grip the gun, position my finger on the trigger, and begin to walk towards it with the gun ready beside my face. Eventually, something white enters my field of vision. I adjust aim, the flashlight on my chest, with my hand and shine a light on it. The monster has a very large hump on its back, which twitches and moves as if it were alive. In one hand it holds a knife, which it waves as it approaches me. In the instant I readied the gun, the monster began to run. By the time I realized this, it slashed at me. I instantly dodged the attack, and thanks to that, bam! I kick it in the face with the bottom of my shoe, and it falls down on its back. It then begins to stand for its next attack. I close my left eye and steady my aim. Even after one shot hit, its movement does not change at all. I fire more bullets at it. It is laughing, in a voice great enough to shake the entire world. It laughs as its face twists and distorts. I cannot give up. When the final bullet loaded into my gun hits, it finally stops laughing. This time it is face down and I begin crushing it with my foot. This is insane. Another monster approaches from behind the corpse of the first one. At this rate, all the bullets in the world would not be enough. Quick, Harry, imagine it's Sybil and aim for the face. All I can do is... let's run past it. I begin to run towards the monster in front of me. Evading the large swings of its knife, I run down the dark corridor. I run down the dark corridor, occasionally stumbling. Well, good morning, Kara. Welcome to Silent Hill. I see a staircase leading down. I race down it, knowing not whether if something is waiting for me or not. I race down it, knowing not whether if something is waiting for me or not at its base. That is... I'm not crazy, right? That is oddly written. I just want to make sure. I'm thinking about Cheryl. Even if she is held prisoner somewhere in this hospital, there's no guarantee I can rescue her. In fact, there's no reason that the staircase I am descending should lead me to Cheryl. I begin to think that all my current actions are all meaningless. However, generally speaking, since I arrived in Silent Hill... No, since the day before leaving Silent Hill... No, even longer, since the day I met Cheryl, perhaps I have had no choice in my actions, that they have been determined by someone's will. By the someone's will. As I continue to the base of the stairs, I contemplate, what if my life up to this point had just been on one track? As I descend the stairs, my ears begin ringing again. The ringing is so forceful that it cannot even be compared to before, and it forces me to squat down. What in the world has happened? Perhaps I have opened a door to hell? A door that should never be opened? Something is clearly changing, and it is for the worst. Going back will not be permitted. I must move forward. Forward. I put my hands together on my head, and then squeeze my temples tightly by using my elbows. The ringing then begins to sound like a demon is whispering in my ears. However, it doesn't stop. I blindly begin to run. Even if I am to die in this mad land, I must save my beloved Cheryl first. Believing that answers are beyond the door, I know that I must discover at least one clue. Several overlapping square figures are shaking, in time with the sound of my heart. It is the wall at the end of the area. Another wall lies perpendicular to it. There is a door present on this wall, with a plate on it that says storehouse. Some chemicals have been placed on the table that is next to the door. There are 3 beakers of different sizes and a test tube. The test tube contains a liquid that is of a different color to that which is in the leftmost beaker. I found a memo. I'm pulling up cheat codes. Not cheat codes. I'm pulling up the answer to the upcoming puzzle because brain says no. To create it, you must come up with 1 deciliter of liquid and pour it into the test tube. No more or no less, that man had said. But there are no graduations on the beakers. This makes it impossible to come up with 1 deciliter using these 3 large beakers. Explanation of controls. Okay. So we go A, C, C to B. Yes. Wait, no. Okay, sorry. C to B. A to B. B to C. Yes. C to A. B to C. Yes. Okay. Good, good. Boom. Got it. Pour the mixture on the thing. Harry melted the chain on the door with the completed liquid. The door slowly opens with a click. Inside the storehouse, nothing important looking stands out. I carefully edge between the metal shelves that have been placed here in a specific arrangement. However, nothing is here that makes this room worthy of being called a storehouse. I'm drawn towards the cabinet in the back of this room. This is because I found the presence of a wooden cabinet strange and unsuitable for this simple room. I approach the cabinet and try and open it. However, it will not budge. Well, I know the answer is the floor, and we've looked inside of it last time, so let's look on top this time. Stood up straight and looked on top of the cabinet. Other than a layer of dust so thick that it almost appeared as if a cloth had been laid on the cabinet, there is nothing of interest. Ah, my field of vision shakes violently. I lost balance and fell to the floor. I landed on my butt, hard enough for it to be unpleasant. There I discover something odd. Countless lines have been bored into the old flooring, and the fiber-shaped wood chips are exposed. It looks as if someone has moved this cabinet and then returned it to its original position. The marks on the floor are still fresh. They tell me that some other human probably came down here. Is there something beyond this cabinet? Yeah, Harry. Shush. Got some boofy boys. Using my body weight, I slowly push the cabinet from its original position. The existence of the inviting door behind the cabinet seems completely natural, so of course I place my hand on it. The room is very inorganic. While shining my flashlight about, I move through the room and eventually discover a grate in the floor. From between the bars in the grate, I can see a staircase that leads to a lower floor. The grate makes a clunk sound as I open it. It is quite heavy. Even though I am sure of my own strength, I do not believe I could pick it up. After opening the grate enough so that I can pass through it, I gently place one foot on the staircase that has appeared. Slowly and cautiously, confirming each step as I go, I descend the staircase to a mad place in which light cannot reach. Finally, I reach a wider room, much wider than I had imagined. I guess this based on the echoes of my footsteps. Run. I am running through this eerie space that lies in the basement of the hospital. It is lifeless and there is no light. All I can do is run through it. Does this world have an end, or did it even have a beginning? Everywhere I go, all that I do is solve mysteries that appear one after the other and then move on. Crisis averted, I have soup. Did we silence the hill yet? It's getting there. I understand this and expect that the same situation will continue. Still, all I can do is move forward. My thinking always results in this conclusion. This door has awaited me. I slowly turn the knob. The inside of this room is different from the ones I have encountered up to this point, and I can feel life in here. There are traces and a sense that someone was in this room. I softly pick up the picture frame that was displayed on the desk. Alessa, that is engraved on the picture frame. I gaze at the picture. It is a face that I have seen somewhere. I try to remember where, as hard as I can, but in the end I cannot remember at all. I'm sure that I've met this girl somewhere, and more than just once. A diary has been placed next to the picture frame. I reach out with my hand. We picked up the diary last time, so this time we're gonna get the picture. Alessa. That name appears in a small engraving in the lower right hand of the picture, and I read it out loud. The girl in the picture just looks at me with her gentle lips open in a way that makes it look as if she wants to say something. That face, which I have had a memory of seeing, is especially pretty. This girl is... In the middle of my sentence, I went silent. As I began to return the picture frame to its original position, I noticed that something is written on the back. As I begin to return the picture back to its original position, I notice that something is written on the back. 024Y DNA. What is this? The incomprehensible letters have been scribbled in there. A feeling of doubt runs through my chest. I remove the picture from the frame, and I place it in the diary that was sitting beside the picture frame. I then held the diary tightly under my arm and left the room. 5001? Hello, hello, the phone had suddenly gone dead. She tried to call back right away, but the call would not go through. Alessa, just who is she? And why was her picture on display in the deep basement of the hospital? And where was that strange feeling of life that I sensed in that room coming from? I'm unable to figure any of it out, and so I am irritated. It's a hard day to be soup. I head for the examination room on the first floor. All the mysteries of the hospital are surely prepared in that room. Believing so, I raced up the stairs while having some difficulty breathing. When I open the door to the examination room, I feel the presence of a person and stop moving. The inside of the room is dark. Someone is here. This is where we lock in our other ending. Who is it? Slowly approach, fire the gun. I fire! I fired and I missed. I readied the handgun. So there's more of you bastards. I can depend only upon my gun in this hospital, which has become a nest for monsters. At the moment I was about to pull the trigger, a woman shrieked, "Wait! Don't shoot! I'm human!" With my gun still readied, I carefully looked at the woman under the desk. What are you doing under there? Lisa! Once the woman realized that I was human, she ran towards me and threw her arms around me like a child would. Finally, someone else who's okay. After mumbling those words in a tearful voice, she held me more tightly. Who are you? My name's Lisa Garland. What's yours? Harry Mason. After we exchanged our simple introductions, I sat in a chair and she sat on the bed so that we were facing each other. The woman that called herself Lisa had blonde hair and an intelligent look to her. Maybe she might know something. At the moment I was about to speak, the woman began talking. Harry, tell me what's happening here. Where is everybody? I must have gotten knocked out. When I came to, everyone was gone. Her voice didn't feel like it was coming from her body and was accompanied by a strange reverberation. It's awful. It's awful. So you don't know anything either? Great. I just don't get it. It's like this is all some kind of bad dream. As I select my words, I have a feeling that even my own words are not coming from my body. Let me ask you. Yeah, a living nightmare. Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair, 7 years old? I mutter Cheryl in a voice that Lisa would not hear. 7-year-old girl? What, she's your daughter? Yes. 7-year-old girl. I can't say that I have. I was unconscious all this time. I'm sorry. That's alright. That was just as I expected, but I continued asking questions without showing my disappointment. Do you know anything about all that weird stuff in the basement? No. Why? Is there something down there? You don't know? Don't you work here? We're under strict orders never to enter the basement storeroom. After changing the subject to the hospital basement, I began to notice that my thoughts were becoming muddy. So I really don't know. What did you say was down there? Well, I try as hard as I can to remember the pitiful sight of that room in the basement. However, in trying to trace my memory back to then, that ringing, which had been gone for a while, returned to my ears. A sound like the bells of that church runs throughout my head. Ugh, damn, my head. What's wrong? Harry? Harry, let me help you. Harry! Lisa has vanished. After a while, I notice that my body is freezing cold. It is as if I am dead, but I am clearly conscious. Where is Lisa? I was definitely talking to her in this examination room. I no longer feel the evil presence that I felt in this room. No, in this entire hospital, up until just before. From the windows, soft light is pouring into the room. Was I dreaming? As I slowly get up, I hear the sound of a door opening. I instantly look towards the source of the sound. The creepy woman I met at the church was standing there, with an expressionless look on her face.
You were too late.
It's you.
Yes, Dahlia Gillespie.
Tell me everything you know. What's going on?
Darkness.
She responded before I was even done speaking.
The town is being devoured by darkness.
The woman continues while maintaining a devout look.
Strength must overcome petty desire. Childish sleep talk. I knew this day would come.
What are you talking about? I don't understand a word of this.
Believe the evidence of your eyes.
So I should believe the evidence of my eyes. I understand. I am in a situation in which I can only believe what I have seen with my own eyes.
The other church in this town. That is your destination. This is beyond my abilities. Only you can stop it now. Have you not seen the crest marked on the ground all over town?
So that's what I saw in the schoolyard. What does it mean?
It is the mark of Samael. Don't let it be completed.
Hey, wait! She places an oddly shaped key on the examination table with a tap, spins around, heads to the door, and then opens it. I open the door that she closed and roll out into the hospital corridor, but she's nowhere to be seen. The other church, but if I exclude the church that I already visited, I don't see anything that looks like a church on the map. I slowly opened the phone book attached to the payphone in the corridor. And there, a mark is present to guide me. It is next to the phone number for an antique shop in the northeast area of the shopping district. After leaving the hospital, I begin to walk at a loss. It's not that I'm tired, but that I am sick of the constant weather. I recall what Kaufman said. He's a person that lives in this town, but he didn't appear to know why everyone had disappeared. When I woke up, it was like this. That is most certainly what he said. Dahlia. She's a mysterious woman. She seems to be holding some secrets, but she always disappears before I can ask her anything. Her timing in meeting me and talking to me was just a little too convenient. Maybe she read the future or something? At any rate, she seemed to have predicted that I would come here, and then she spoke about this. And then there's Cheryl's whereabouts. Everything has been unreasonable and illogical. My irritation is increasing, and I will end up losing my cool. The antique shop? Yeah, this is it. For a moment, I was taken with the sensation, with the sense that someone was watching me, but without looking back, I entered the door as if I was being swallowed by it. The inside of the shop is small. I take a look around using my flashlight and find that the place is such a mess that it looks almost as if it had been ransacked by a thief. Is something here? At first glance, I don't think that there's anything here that concerns me. However, I did not miss that which was hidden behind a shelf. I move the shelf step by step, and an eerie passage leading into the darkness appears. What's this? Harry! I look back towards the familiar voice. Sybil? Sybil, who should have left for the next town over to call for backup, was there. Oh, I'm glad you're okay. I shouldn't have left you. Things are worse than I thought. It's nuts. What are you doing here? I thought you left town. I saw you go in here. I followed you. I couldn't get out. All the roads out of town are blocked. Cars have stopped running completely. The phones and radios are still out, too. What about my daughter? Did you see her? No. Sybil shook her head back and forth. Unfortunately, I haven't. I looked down. What about you? Anything? Yeah, I met this bizarre woman. Her name's Dahlia Gillespie. Do you know her? Dahlia Gillespie? I just met her at the church. Something about her. She's quite a creepy person. She said something about the town being devoured by darkness, gibberish like that. Any idea what it means? I really don't know. As for me, she said, you can no longer make it time. Oh, as for me, she said, you can no longer make it time and such, things I did not understand the meaning of. We then just looked at each other for a bit, each of us thinking of something. How's the gun I gave you? Sybil asked with a bright smile. There have been several situations in which I have had to use it. It seems like I have finally gotten used to using it. Well, you know you won't get over that if you don't use it after all. Sybil brushed her finger on the tip of her nose. Just where is that feeling of emptiness that runs through this room coming from? My body and the images entering my pupils, it all seems like I am in a dream and that my mind is isolated from them. Sybil's calls brought me back round. Marie. Hey, Harry? Yeah, what's wrong? Sybil looked slightly irritated and then took a long breath. Then she shifted her gaze to the passage behind the shelf. What's this? Just discovered it. Maybe there's something back there. Let's have a look. Wait, we don't know what's back there. I'd better check it out first. I'm a cop. I should go. No, I'm going. Sybil placed her hand over my mouth to keep me from speaking. Even though I look like this, I am a police officer. Please leave everything to me. Think of this as my job. I remained silent for a bit, and then I gave in to her. Okay, please be careful. I peer inside the hidden passage. Inside, it looks like an unseen barrier of darkness has been set up, which makes it look like a place no one should enter. I intuitively sense that it would be dangerous to move into this passage. It is that kind of passage. I'm impressed, because last time we had the option of whether we let Sybil go or whether we went. And we've already locked ourselves out of that even being a choice, which is fascinating to me. I talk to Sybil once as she enters the passage. Sybil? Yes? Do you know anything about, well, like, some other world? It's like some kind of bad dream? What are you talking about? I'm not quite sure. I try to make sense of it, but then my mind goes blank. Everything's dark there, and I hear sirens in the distance. I met this nurse, Lisa, and it's like I was there, but not really. It's all a blur, like some kind of hallucination, you know? I have no idea what you're talking about, Harry, Sybil spoke while shaking her head from side to side. Oh, I was just wondering. Never mind. Harry, you're tired. Yeah, maybe. Am I tired? Yes, I am tired. If that is all that this is, then that is fine. If my being tired is what caused me to see all the hallucinations up to this point, then Gerald should return to me. The only thing is the sensation I am feeling is not that of being tired. Rather, my body feels as if I should have been on the floor sleeping continuously like a human in a cold sleep, and I'm feeling the agonizing suffering of not being able to escape from that state. Leaving me behind, Sybil steps into the passage. I can no longer see her from where I am at. Am I falling asleep? My field of vision is swaying. I pressed my back to the wall and steadily slid down until it reached the cold floor. The shadows of several of the items in the room expand and contract. As the light moves, it is as if a great number of spirits are laughing at me. Eventually, those shadows pounce on me. The bodiless beings bind my hands and feet and corner me until I am unable to move. I cannot speak. One long shadow extends a tentacle towards my neck. Please stop, I implore. I hold both of my palms up, but the shadow passes through the areas between my fingers and reaches my neck. I try to speak, but only a gasp comes out that will not reach Sybil. Finally, activity in my brain begins to stop due to a lack of oxygen. I saw stars in my eyes and then nothing at all. I lost consciousness as if I were just going to sleep. My body is freezing. Where am I? I cannot focus my eyes. That's right, this is the antiques shop. I am sitting on the floor with my back against the cold wall. I must have dozed off for a bit. My fingers are as cold as ice, and so I cannot move them normally. While chasing around after Cheryl, fatigue must have been building up without me realizing it. However, this is no time to be sleeping. Oh, I wonder how Sybil is doing. I look around the room and see that the eerie passage that was hidden behind the shelf is still open, just as it was before. Sybil is still in there. When she comes out, I will have words with her. I hope she's okay. It seems like quite a bit of time has passed. I heavily stand and check the gun in my pocket. I then stand at the entrance of the completely dark passage. I have only 3 bullets left. I cannot afford to waste any. My breathing breaks the silence. I get out the gun and hold it near my temple, with it aimed at the stomach of that dark demon, and then I begin to walk forward. I'm worried about Sybil's safety, so I am guided forward by my quivering feet. After walking for a bit, I sense light coming from somewhere other than the flashlight on my chest. I leisurely turn off my flashlight and see that something is shining at the end of the passage. I rush forward. I'm running towards the light, not unlike how a small insect would. Something is there. Is Sybil all right? Or will I still have to confront a monster again? There was a room at the end of the passage. As I enter the room, the light is so dazzlingly bright that I have to shield my eyes with the back of my hand. There is a simple altar on the wall to the right of where I entered the room. A large flame is coming off a thick candle, and green smoke is billowing from it. Everything in the room was shaking in the light from that flame. What is this place? Once my eyes adjusted to the light, my line of sight jumped to an unbelievable sight. At first I thought it was just a well-made doll, a mannequin with a red shirt on. It was on its back, lying in a pool of red liquid. But I soon understood what it was. Sybil. I softly called to her. Her light green shirt had been stained crimson by the flow of red liquid from the back of her neck. I was completely confused. Do we rush to her side, or do we step back and run away? My queen! Sybil, hold on! I shake her shoulders, but she does not respond. Why has this happened? I cover her dead body, her cold body. Lost in hopelessness, I lost consciousness again. Harry? Are you okay? Harry? Harry? Where am I? Harry! Lisa, that I'm in the hospital. You were having a bad dream. Was I? Hey, you don't look too good. Are you okay? I'm fine. Nothing you need to worry about. Well, if you're sure. Lisa, do you know a woman named Dahlia Gillespie? Oh yeah, that crazy Gillespie lady. She's kind of famous around here. She never sees anybody, so I don't know that much about her. But I heard her kid died in a fire, and supposedly she's been crazy ever since. Well, she says the town is, well, she says the town is being devoured by darkness. Do you have any idea what she's talking about? The town devoured by the darkness. Yes, I think I do. Before this place was turned into a resort, the townspeople here were on the quiet side. Everybody followed some kind of queer religion. Not the fun queer. Weird occult stuff, black magic, that kind of thing. As young people moved away, the people figured they'd been summoned by the gods. Evidently, things like that used to happen around here all the time. Before the resort, there wasn't really anything else out here. Everyone was so flipped out. Had to blame it on something. Then a lot of new people came in and everybody clammed up about it. Cult. Last time I heard anything about it was, gosh, years ago, when several people connected with developing the town died in accidents. People said it was a curse. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'll shut up. No, it's all right. Hey, Harry, what happened to your hand? Oh, I just hurt it a little bit. Is it okay? Yeah, just a scratch, nothing major. Even if it is just a scratch, there's a lot of blood. If we don't look after it soon. It's okay, please don't touch it. Why are you so angry? Sorry, but this does not concern you. I don't want to get you mixed up in this. I'm sorry. Lisa's words. The reverberation of Lisa's "I'm sorry" remained in my ears. I wonder how long I've been asleep. I found myself in that antique shop again, lying face down in the same position I was in just a short while ago. Was that another dream? Did I pass out again? I don't want to think so, but maybe this is all just going on in my head. I could have had a car accident and now I'm lying unconscious in a hospital bed. I don't know what's real anymore. Sybil's body has vanished. She's gone, almost as if she was absorbed into the concrete floor. Maybe Sybil never came in here in the first place? Just what did I see? A hallucination? A delusion? I want to talk to Lisa. She knows something. She's holding some secret. I will go see her. Keeping one hand on the wall to support myself, I stumble out of the antique shop. I open the gate to the hospital and then energetically open the door of the examination room. Inside, Lisa is waiting for me. Harry! She changes from looking completely exhausted and rushes over to me in an innocent, childlike way. Glad you're okay. Glad you're okay. Thank God you came back. I was scared to be here all alone. I'm here now. I was worried too. I'm real happy to see you. I lightly hug Lisa and gently draw away. I then speak while looking into her eyes. Lisa, have you seen a policewoman named Sybil? Sybil? That is the first time I've heard that name. I have not seen her. Since the town has become like this, I've not met any humans other than you. I was irritated that I didn't understand anything that was going on, so I loudly clicked my tongue. What's wrong, Harry? You don't seem yourself. Sorry, I just cannot see the truth. Even talking to you now, I wonder if it isn't just a delusion. Lisa looks a bit sad. I am me. Nothing has changed. I've just been waiting for you here all along. Saying nothing, I just looked at Lisa. While we were talking, I couldn't be sure that I wasn't currently sitting here or actually speaking. My voice and my existence were beginning to disappear into the dry air in the room. And then the door opened and someone came in. Dr. Michael Kaufman. Yes, he definitely said that he was a doctor at this hospital. What are you doing? Lisa took a deep breath and half smiled to greet him. This is Harry. His daughter's become lost in this town. You already told me that. Have you found her? No. I shook my head from side to side. Harry, do you know Michael? Yeah, when I first visited this hospital, I met him once. I recalled the sight of him holding me at gunpoint. Weren't you leaving town? I asked sarcastically. It was no good. All the roads are blocked. It's impossible to get out. The three of us just remained silent. I grew up in this town. I know this area. As far as I could see, all the roads leading out of town have become precipitous cliffs or were blocked with large boulders. We're completely isolated. Lisa's smile disappeared. Well, what are we going to do? We should start thinking about that. I'm gonna get some sleep. With that, Kaufman left the room. Where are you going? To the director's office. He often sleeps there. Oh, where are you going? To the director's office. He often sleeps there, Lisa answered for him. It's cold, and not unexpected as it is snowing outside, but this room has no heating of any sort. I took off my jacket and went to put it on Lisa, but she shook her head from side to side. Isn't there any heating? Lisa's eyes shifted to the heater in the back of the room. I'm sorry. This worked until yesterday, but today it's broken. It's ironic, Lisa shrugged her shoulders. There should be an oil heater for use in the patient rooms in the reception area. I'll go and get it. Lisa begins to stand but I stop her. I'll go and get it. You just sit tight. Lisa smiled. You're kind. I pretended not to hear her as I left the room. Why did I come here? I take an audible breath. While I was talking to Lisa, I'd become mentally tired, but I did find myself faintly attracted to her. I knew it! An unexplainable irritability took control of my feelings. I placed my hands on one of the two heaters lined up under the reception counter and was gripped with a strange sensation. I raised my head and looked around. In the dark, gloomy lobby, there's only the sound of the large wall clock ticking away the passage of the undeniable time. While listening to the irregular rhythm of that ticking sound, which was not unlike the irregular pulse of a patient just before they die, I completely forgot why I came to the lobby. Footsteps? I turned back, and as I approached the long corridor on the first floor, I saw it. At the end of the corridor, with the white light hitting her back from the window, the dark figure of a girl appeared out of the darkness. She appeared to be facing me, and she can see me. Cheryl? At the moment I began to approach, the figure vanished. Bang! The sound of gunfire reverberates throughout the hospital. From the door just left of where I am standing. Lisa! I open the door. The faint scent of gunpowder wafts through the air. And in the middle of the room, Lisa lay on her side, dead. Lisa! I instantly thought of Sybil. The situations strangely resemble one another. Only Lisa and I are in the room. In this closed room, only a face-down corpse and me. In the short amount of time I was out of the room, someone came and shot Lisa in the neck, and then left the room. That girl. Yes, it was that girl. There's no doubt about it. She must have lied in wait for Lisa to be alone. However, for what purpose? Why Lisa and not me? Pursue the girl? Or maybe the culprit is someone else. Yes, and they are still close. Let's go with A. Get her! Get the girl! I violently opened the door of the examination room. As soon as I got into the corridor that the girl was in, I turned and raced in the direction of the elevator hall. The reason there are no people in this town. A mass murder? A murderer in the form of a girl that kills indiscriminately. My body shuddered. As I reached the wall at the end of the corridor, my eyes fell upon yet another gruesome sight. Kaufman. Kaufman has shrunk into the corner of the hall, as if he was driven there. One of the walls is covered with a disgusting spatter, and he is already dead on the floor. Oh! Upon seeing his injury, I sank to the ground. I sat with my legs crossed on the hard tile floor, at a loss as to what to do. That girl is walking around and destroying everything she sees with the gun. However, that girl is not here now. I bury my face in my hands. I thought, please kill me soon. As each of the people in the town are killed, I don't want to be the last one. Please, kill me soon. My eyes closed. I prayed hard and wished for that. And then the girl came, the low sound of a motor, and a chime to announce her arrival. The doors slowly open and close. After stepping off the elevator, the girl walked over to me and stood there. I was able to tell who the girl was without even raising my head. Daddy. I could not hold back my overflowing tears. I placed my palms on my face and cried out, Cheryl, why? Why are you doing this? My unintelligible voice resonated within the walls of the hall. Daddy? I looked at Cheryl through the space between my fingers. In her small right hand she had a black, solemn handgun, which was disproportionate to her size. I said, if you're going to kill me, then do it. Give me that handgun. Cheryl Mason's got a gun. Who gave Cheryl Mason a gun? That's just inappropriate. Do we think any kid should have a gun? I don't think most adults should have guns. So no. Do we think our daughter would shoot us? I mean, I didn't think our daughter would shoot anyone. But here we are. This is definitely giving that, like, 90s visual novels that become dark, bleak animes. Like, this is definitely giving, like, Higurashi or Umineko. Let's ask our daughter to kill us. Sorry. Your daddy doesn't understand, but if you are going to kill me, then do it. I am in agony. To finally be reunited with you. With you like this. With an expressionless face, Cheryl points the barrel of the gun at me.
Hand it over to him now, Cheryl.
That voice woke me up. A particularly hoarse voice. Dahlia. I could faintly see her standing in the darkness behind Cheryl. Dahlia. Dahlia did not move. She looked down at me and began to speak.
It's terrible. The gods have passed judgment on you. Under the pretext of searching for your missing daughter, you were unable to get her back.
What are you saying? Dahlia taps Cheryl's shoulder and Cheryl holds out the handgun.
Daddy, isn't this yours? It was dropped here.
I remained seated and then I reached out and took the handgun without knowing why. My handgun? I hurriedly checked my pockets. The handgun was definitely missing.
It doesn't appear that you have realized it yet.
I carefully studied the gun I was holding. This is definitely the gun I received from Sybil. 1 round is chambered in the gun. Wait. There's 1 round in the gun. 1 round? Daydream recollection. This is the antique shop. Sybil heads to the altar at the end of the passage. I follow her without making any footstep sounds. Sybil doesn't notice me. I strangle her from behind. I push her down to the floor. I press the gun I am holding to the base of her neck and forcefully pull the trigger. Where is this? Hospital? I leave the examination room. Yes, to get the oil heater. No, instead, I return to the room. Lisa was surprised. I grab her long blonde hair. Her scream and the gunshot occur at the same time. A terrible headache. I cannot take it and run out into the corridor. I run into a man that was surprised by the gunshot and had come out of a room. He sees what I have in my right hand. He sees the red stain on my clothes. I persistently chase him. I look at his back as he runs away. He is a fool, that Kaufman. There is a dead end ahead. You have nowhere left to run to. He sank to the floor in the corner of the hall. What a pathetic end. I place my right leg on his shoulder. Piercing voice.
It looks like you have remembered.
Dahlia's piercing voice penetrates my eardrums. Something snaps within me. Dahlia, I cannot speak through my tears. Cheryl clings to Dahlia and stares fixedly at me. She appears to be frightened. Silence. It's strange. My daughter would cling to a woman that she's just met. Even as I shared the same time and space with them, they felt completely like people from another dimension.
If you're going to kill, then you should do it. No one is left in this town. This town is dead.
The snow still continues to fall even now. On the roof and walls of this decrepit hospital, and on all the houses, a merciless source of white ice falls. I fly into the sky. I look down on the town wrapped in thick fog. It is going far away. I spread out my arms and climb even higher. This feels good. It's invigorating. If I close my eyes, I feel that I would rise all the way to space. On top of the desk, Cheryl has watered the dandelions that have bloomed in the garden. My body is. In my distant consciousness, my entire body trembles. I'm holding a gun in my right hand, lying face down on the desk of my study. I will never move ever again. Calm sunlight. A gentle breeze blows in from the window. Cheryl. I didn't love that. But I feel a lot less judgy of Silent Hill Homecoming now. So the play novel, yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was going to make a comparison of the play novel and Alan Wake's American Nightmare, where it's like there's a game that was intensely successful, heavily psychological, um, and just very popular, and so they were very much like, oh, we should put out more stuff, and let's see. So I'm trying to look up. Okay, it was developed by Remedy. So I wasn't sure if American Nightmare had like a sort of a one step removed developer, kind of like this was. Um, so the first one was awesome. First ending was really interesting. Um, and I thought that was pretty cool. This one very much did feel like a cash grab, if that makes sense. Like, they were trying to do more impressive, like, aha, what a twist! And this did still feel very... It feels a lot like the sort of shocking, what a twist, dark anime that started happening around the early 2000s. And it's interesting because it felt much more like that than it did like Silent Hill with this course and ending. Like, I enjoy the notion, I enjoy that this clarifies. Yeah, it was very much dark for the sake of being dark. Um, and it did do some good stuff to clarify the sensation of we only encounter Lisa when she's in the other world. And then they just kind of like they like got rid of that in exploring this other ending. Uh and it's a lot of, I don't know, kind of open-ended. It's not even open-ended. It's just they never went to Silent Hill. It was just Harry shot himself and for some reason hallucinated a bunch. And I don't love it. So we have the so we have the Kaufman card. Cool. Do we have the Sybil path unlocked now? How do we get to Sybil? I'm so sadly disappointed in that. I will try and figure out how to get the Sybil arc to, because I know that going through a playthrough on Harry unlocks the Sybil scenario. I don't know how to unlock that. Yeah, that was another chapter of the Silent Hill play novel. I have very mixed feelings about it. Not really mixed. I have negative feelings about it. I'm trying to phrase it and approach it as gently as I can. But this has definitely killed a lot of the motivation I had to get, like all the endings of the Silent Hill play novel. Because that was kind of disappointing. But I do love the amount of content that there is to explore Silent Hill. And I am happy that we had a chance to do it and that I had a chance to just spend more time with you guys. I think that's going to be it for me today. But I did have a lot of fun. I'm glad that I stuck around to do one more thing after the Raft speedrun. We do Silent Hill lore runs on Wednesday nights, Pacific time zone. So if you ever want to come and just gush about Silent Hill lore, find out about a lot of the inspirations and things like that, that's where we just dive into everything. And it's going to get even more intense next Wednesday with Silent Hill 2. Also because I'm really glad that I went to the play novel before the Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, because the Enhanced Edition put out a new release yesterday. Literally yesterday. They put out their final release. For those unfamiliar with the Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, Silent Hill 2 doesn't look great. It was a PS2 game. And They tried doing the Silent Hill HD collection, and that was worse, which is rough. Like, don't get me wrong, I played the HD collection first, so I have love in my heart for the HD collection version of it, but it was very glitchy, very buggy, and a lot of the voice acting choices were hard, which is impressive because I love the cast that they had for the Silent Hill 2 HD collection, but they didn't dub proportionate to the game models, and so it feels really weird sometimes. But I like it. I just um so there hasn't really been a good way to play Silent Hill 2, also because it's not really easily accessible for PC. But if you get a perfectly legal copy for the PC, the enhanced edition is a passion project of a group called the Town of Silent Hill that has gone out of their way to make the Silent Hill 2 enhanced edition or Silent Hill 2 PC version look incredible. They have done so much retexturing, they fixed a lot of the bugs and the glitches. And so honestly at this point Silent Hill 2, if you use the enhanced edition, plays a lot smoother than most of the franchise. Um and they did their last big update yesterday. They also added 3 Easter eggs in the game. There's one from Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 3, and Silent Hill 4 that are little collectible items you can get as you're playing through the game. So we'll see if we can find any of those, because I don't know if anyone has yet. So I doubt we will, but it would be really cool. But that being said, it makes me all the more excited to get into Silent Hill 2 on Wednesday. I am going to finish Silent Hill 2 before the remake drops. It is happening. If I have to do extra streams, that's okay. I love Silent Hill 2. I'd also like to finish Born from a Wish, but that might need to be like some extra content. Born from a Wish was basically the DLC sort of spin-off mini game that they had with Silent Hill 2. But Silent Hill is my favorite franchise of all time. Silent Hill 2 is my favorite game of all time. I am so happy that I get to share my hype and excitement about this series, this franchise, and why I love it so much. Um, I think part of why that ending made me grumble so much was because it didn't really fit with the metaphysics that I have come to love from Silent Hill. But also, Silent Hill play novel was done as like a parallel development through Silent, like apart from Silent Hill 2. So where Silent Hill 2 really like clenched a lot of the metaphysics, Silent Hill play novel like didn't know the series was going in that direction first. So they liked doing this Higurashi style, what a twist, when in actuality, the metaphysics of Silent Hill don't really allow for that. And so I now much more understand why people say that Silent Hill play novel, much like the arcade game, is kind of apocryphal. Um, because like that's that's a hard canon ending to explain. You know, that's a hard canon ending to explain. Um, but it does. I like some of what the play novel presents, but not all of it. It's annoyingly close to being good. Yeah, that's very well said. About to wrap up here, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. This has been awesome.